Welcome to the GenX Experience, the podcast that celebrates the unique journey of 80s kids navigating midlife. I'm your host, Blythe Alperin. Each episode, my guests and I will share with you the unique differences that define our generation and how we are navigating those differences in the real world. Join me for laughs, insights, and a sense of community. Let's embrace the GenX Experience together. Welcome back to the GenX Experience, episode 36. And we have a new month. We are in August, my birthday month. And we also have a new topic. We are doing something more fun and lighthearted. And we are talking to Gen X content creators, not influencers, content creators, because that is more cool. And today we're going to be talking to John Wellington, also known as the DadBod veteran. If you are on Instagram or TikTok, you've definitely seen him. He has a YouTube channel, also is on Facebook, and he is part of the GenX Takeover comedy tour. Be sure to check out that website. I will have it listed in the show notes so you can go see them when they are in town. He is one of 4 Gen X content creators is doing stand-up comedy. That also includes the real Slim Sherry, Kelly Mono, and the Professor Nick Harrison. All of them I love. They're all so funny, and I love seeing Gen Xers just doing really cool things in our midlife. So let's get to know my guest before we dive into the interview. So John, the DadBod veteran Wellington, is a Navy vet, a proud father of 5, and a digital comedy breakout who's living proof that it's never too late to go viral, which I completely agree. After a decade of military service and years of raising a full house, John found himself an empty nester in 2022 and accidentally launched his career as a content creator. Today, with over 5 million followers and a nationwide comedy tour, the Gen X Takeover, which I mentioned, he's telling raw, funny, and refreshingly real stories about parenting, midlife purpose, and the unexpected freedom of finding your voice on social media. So without further ado, and enough of my talking for now, let's get into my interview with John Wellington, the DadBod veteran. Well, John, or DadBod veteran, however, how would you like me to refer to you in this podcast?
You can call me whatever you want, just don't call me late for dinner. That's all I care about.
Well, because as Gen X, we know if you were late to dinner, you probably weren't going to get dinner.
Yeah, that's right. You're not going to eat. You're going to get the scraps after your brother and sister like mow down on all the good pieces of chicken. And it was never like the good cuts of chicken anyway, because it was the cheap stuff. So you might have got that really tiny chicken thigh that nobody else wanted.
Yes. And I had a brother. So when for instance, my mom would make lasagna, she made 2. And one of them was just for my dad and my brother, because otherwise my sister and my mom would not get to eat. So,
oh man, I didn't have it like that. Y'all was fancy.
Sometimes. But anyway, thank you, John, for being on the podcast. I'm so excited to talk to you because I have been following you and watching your content on TikTok. I don't know if it's TikTok or Instagram where I first came across you, and other Gen Xers.
All the places. Right?
I mean, you kind of have to be.
Yeah.
All the places.
Diversification, it's like an investment portfolio now.
Right. Yes, and everything has a different algorithm, which is really, really fun. So what inspired you to let the voices of Gen X, your voice specifically, be heard on all the platforms?
Well, nothing. I was not inspired at all. That's the thing. This whole thing is an accident. It's a fluke. It's a subject of my empty nest syndrome. That's really where this started. So the story is I've got 5 kids. I've been a dad since I was 18. I had my first one young, as a lot of Gen Xers do. And so I've always made my decisions based on my kids, every decision in life, career-wise, blah, blah, blah. It was always about making their life comfortable. And my last son, he was leaving for boot camp, and he graduated in May, and he was planning to go in August. So we were going to have the summer together. The Navy came back and made him an offer that he couldn't refuse, a very large sum of money to leave early. And so he took it, and he left literally 3 days after he graduated high school. So we didn't get the summer at all. And so I was, for the first time, sitting there as an empty nester who worked from home and had a lot of spare time on my hands, and a lot of times to reflect on my life. And I got kind of depressed and blah, 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 because I had never done life without kids. So originally when I started this, it was me doing videos on the porch of what made me happy, which was telling stories to my grandkids, which I don't have. The voice itself is the voice that I had imagined I would want to hear stories from. And everybody's tried to pigeonhole it as this British accent or as this Gandalf accent or all these other things. It's none of those. It's just the voice that was in my head. The closest thing I've heard is it's a transatlantic like Titanic era
Uh,
accent. That's the closest
yes.
I've heard to it. But there was no origin of where I did it. It was just what sounded good to me. And so I started doing making this library of videos of me telling stories of life when I was a kid in a funny way, with some sarcastic, drawn out exaggerations, etc. And then one day, that caught on a little bit. And then one day, somebody sent me a video, and they said, "Hey, what does the dad bod think about this?" And the dad bod's got his own dialect. He's got his own way of portraying things. He's kind of like the Disney punchline. That's what I call him, because in the Disney movies today, there's a punchline, and it's usually in these undertones that the people that know about it, they can see it and they can recognize it, and they're like, "Ha ha, that was funny." And the kids are like, "What? That wasn't funny." And they're like, "You don't get it." That's kind of what I think he is. He's a Disney punchline. So it was, how did they deliver pizza before GPS? This kid came on. He's like, "How do they do it before
Yes, I've
GPS?"
seen that. Mhm.
That was the origin of all of this. And so I did my reaction to it, talking about the map on the wall and, just showing up with the money and just transacting the pizza. And it went viral. It was like in less than a week, it hit 3 million views. And now at that time, I think I had maybe like 10,000 followers. And then within a couple weeks, I was at 100,000 on TikTok. And what happened from that was then all these other people started sending me these videos of like, what does the dad bod think about this? What does he think about this? And that's where he became this voice of a generation, if you will, kind of portraying, what we remember life like, but also in a slapstick, you guys are really dumb for doing it this way kind of way. And the internet helps me tremendously with this, because there is no end to the young people doing less than intelligent things
Mhm.
for likes and clicks. And so I've got content forever. And that's
Yes.
really where he started. It was never intended to be all of this. It was never intended to be all of this. It's just a fluke. And I'm just riding the wave as long as it goes, because, who knows? It's thinking like a Gen X. This can't be real.
Right.
This is the dumbest thing I've ever been a part of. So it's going to go away at some point. So let's just have fun and do it while it's available.
Because we questioned everything. Like, we
We
questioned
do. We're
authority, we
so
questioned.
skeptical of everything. We're like, this isn't real. You didn't just send me a check because I made videos on my porch. That's dumb. Why did you do that? You're going to take this money away from me at some point.
Yeah, because
Just
I
enjoy
think
it.
if we went back now, like, in a time machine and went to our younger selves and, like, by the way,
Oh
in,
yeah. You're like,
many decades,
what?
they'd be like, "Oh, come on, really? This
They
is."
got new drugs too? Because you are crazy.
Tell us where to get them, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's so funny though that you talk about the younger generation giving plenty of content. Have you seen the newest, like, I don't know if it's a trend or it's a real thing, the Gen Z stare that everyone
No.
is talking
No.
about?
What do they do?
So apparently,
I'm gonna look this up.
part of it, I think, is because they do have some issues with communication because their life is all online, and so they really don't know how to interact. But other times, they just think people ask dumb questions. Like, I saw someone post yesterday, like, just the stare, like, when I don't want to answer something because somebody asked me what's on the menu when it's right behind me, and I'm like, if you don't like people, don't work in a restaurant or a coffee shop or customer service or retail. Because yes, people suck and are annoying, and they're going to ask you dumb questions. But
You're
sorry,
paid
that
to do a job.
yeah.
Yeah.
And if you want to
So
get a
this is
better
the
job,
thing, the Gen Z stare. I'm gonna look this up.
yes,
I'm going after this one. Thank you.
yes,
Thank you.
and
See,
of
my
course,
point.
yeah, you
There's
have.
an endless amount of content for me to react to.
Yeah,
Endless amount.
I've made some TikToks about, and then I don't post them because I'm like, do I have the patience to deal with Gen Z today? I'm like, they get people call them the Zoomers sometimes because they get so offended. It's just like, I mean, I feel bad for them, but also
But you
life's
know
not.
what? We dealt with the same thing. It was actually on the playground. You know what I mean?
Yes,
We were bullied a little bit and we were pushed around a little bit, and it developed a little bit of a harder candy shell than normal. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, as long as it's not in the extreme version, a little bit of playfulness is good for the soul, right? To not think that you're all that in a bag of potato chips. So
exactly.
this is just their version of it, in my opinion.
Yeah,
And some people will say, no, you're wrong. This is way worse. And I'm like, well, you weren't there on the playground getting your butt whipped because you had glasses on. Okay.
right. Or
Okay.
you knocked yourself. I knocked myself unconscious in kindergarten on the like jungle gym, and I don't know how long I hung there. No one came for me. I woke up and I'm like, why am I hanging upside down? I'm 5 years old. No one cared then. So I was like, okay, I'll just, the whole if you're not bleeding, no one died, just dust yourself up, pick yourself up, and keep going. So,
That's right. That's right. We would have fights on the playground, and then we'd go back to class. I mean, it was just like that. And
yep.
I was the kid with bottle cap glasses and a mullet. I was the gnarliest looking thing in the world. And my mom didn't have, we didn't have a bunch of money, so my pants had the iron-on patches from the inside, to
Mm.
cover up that hole that I ripped through. So I got picked on a lot as a kid. And I don't. Yes, it sucked at the time, but it did help me later in life to be able to brush a lot of stuff off that people say about you and people feel about you, especially in this social media world, because
Oh, yeah. Yes.
there's always a spectrum of responses you get from every video, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah. Because
And that,
people are hiding behind their
yeah, they're
keyboards, their screen.
keyboard warriors, just
Yeah.
going at it, and you're like, okay,
Although you can find people, but which sometimes I think is a little creepy, but yeah.
oh, you can find them, you can
Yeah.
definitely find them, and they can find you. Just
Yes,
remember that.
that is true. So since you have 5 kids, what do your kids think of you, and your internet fame? What are
It's
their thoughts on
funny.
that?
Initially, they were like, "Oh, it's okay. It'll never be." Actually, the most interesting one was the son who was in boot camp because all of the change happened while he was in boot camp.
Oh, wow, okay.
So when he got out of boot camp, and I went to his graduation up in Chicago, which is where the Navy boot camp is, and people recognized me at the boot camp graduation for the dad bod and not as me. And he saw it. He's like, "What in the is going on?" What? I was like, "Dude, I tried to tell you. I tried to tell you I got this thing going on the side." He's like, "No freaking way that my dad is in his 40s is somebody. This is dumb." And I'm like, "I know." So I said that's the same thing. So, but for the most part, out of the 5, there's only one kid that's been resistant to it and be like, "No, it's not actually a thing. This is all crazy." And that's my FAFO son, Nick, he has a whole storyline on social media now because of the fact that he adamantly says that this whole social media thing is fake. Everybody who watches it is fake. It'll never actually affect him in real life. I did the whole dowry applications and all this fun stuff that I've done with him, and it's it's just very interesting to see the diverse reactions that they all have to it. For the most part, they all embrace it. They think it's cool, and now they're all like touting their dad as this cool influencer, which I hate that word, um, but as somebody that's recognizable out in the public. Um, it took a while. It did.
Yeah.
I would say the one that it took the most time with was actually the missus.
Oh,
Initially, she was like, "What are you doing? Why are you wasting time on the porch? What are you doing?" Because this is not a plan it and forget it kind of situation. You've got to feed this monster every day, or it will just go away. And
yeah.
that's just how it works. So anybody watching this, if you want to try to start a social media page, just be ready. You're doing it every day. No days off, no Sundays, none of that stuff. It's every day. And
Yeah.
she would be like, "Why are you out there for hours a day making videos? They're just so dumb. This is dumb. Just stop wasting your time." And then the money started happening, and she was like, "Oh,
Now I get
oh,
it, right?
oh, oh, oh." And then that's when the Mrs. DadBod veteran came about. And now she's like my biggest fan. She's like part agent, part comment troll. She's moderator. She's telling me when videos are too much because I got to make sure I walk that fine line between too harsh and not harsh enough. And she'll be like, "Nah, take that one down." So again, it's the evolution of everybody's response to it that's been really cool. But all in all, they're all supportive at this point, except for Nick. I'm still working on him. There's actually a Wall Street Journal report that is going to come out here really soon
Mhm.
that has him in it
Oh, really?
because
Does
the
he
Wall
know
Street.
this?
He does know, and he's like, "No, it's not." And I'm like, "Yeah, it is. I'm going to put your picture in the Wall Street Journal," because they reached out to me. They're like, "Tell me about this FAFO parenting style," and I'm like, "Oh, don't mind if I do." Told them the story, sent them pictures, and they're like, "Yeah, we're going to run that." I'm like, "Okay."
Mhm. Now he's gonna be famous too.
He's
Well,
going to
I
be
mean,
famous
and
too.
that's our childhood was that, we F around and find out, and, our parents, like, they were I think a lot of times people think our parents weren't there at all, and I'm sure some people's parents weren't. I mean, my parents both worked, but they were still, for the most part, knew what we were doing and were making sure we were behaving ourselves because the
Oh
consequences of
yeah.
not.
Yeah, the consequences of whatever dumb thing that you were doing, getting caught doing it,
Yeah.
was way worse than anything that will happen today. Anything that will happen today. It would start with the spanking, and then it would turn into the grounding, then it would turn into
Yep.
I remember I had I was a bad kid. I'm not gonna lie. I was ADHD and all that stuff. My mom stripped my room down to nothing but my bed.
Oh, wow.
That's all I had. It was just my bed. And then I got to come out for dinner and lunch and breakfast and go to school. That was all I did for like a month because I did something really bad. I don't even remember what I did, but I just remembered that. I'm like, oh, that would never happen today. They'd call DSS on you these days for that kind of stuff.
Yes, the whole gentle parenting. I think we've gone from, like, trying to make up for the way our parents raised us to going the full other side, which is there has to
It's a
be a
pendulum. It's a
yeah.
pendulum. I think it's going to rotate back around.
I
Just,
I think
I really think it already is.
yeah. My sister, because I have a sister and brother, they both have, kids. My sister's definitely more of, like, the F around and find out. Like, she's raising her kids how we were raised for the most part, and then my brother's a little more like lackadaisical and has realized, oh, that's not really working very well. So, because his daughter's going to be in junior high, so
Oh yeah.
that yeah,
Yeah, I think the hardest part about parenting is when you realize, depending on how many kids you have, when you realize the age that you are no longer able to parent and you are more coach and guide, and that your direction to them means nothing. I think it's like, depending on the gender, it's around 14 or 15 that you really have no true ability to direct them anymore. You can only coach and guide them. I learned that with my first one, and luckily I learned it fast enough that I could just understand the period before that and how I had to make sure that I steered them in the right direction, because I knew that this time was coming that they were just going to tell me to go kick rocks and not really care what I say anyway.
right.
But yeah, if you don't get it right before that, it could go sideways real easy.
Yeah, I remember being I think it's maybe started junior high, but definitely high school where I started to think my parents, well, mostly my mother, because my dad, I was like, whatever, was didn't know what she was talking about. And I'd be like, Mom, it's the 90s. Mom.
Mom.
Like, I'm like, or I would just call her woman. I'm like, woman, it's the 90s. Come on. And then
Oh,
I
no,
that was like
man.
my yeah.
Phew.
And she just would look at me like, oh, what, and then when I got older, I was like, okay, no, I'm the idiot. And she didn't know what she was talking
She did
about.
know
And
what she was
I
talking
need
about.
her all the time. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's because, kids don't come with instructions. And once become an adult, and it doesn't matter what generation you are, you're like, oh, this is some nonsense. I
This
don't know
sucks.
why I
Like, I
wanted to grow
remember the
up.
day where my kids, especially my oldest, she turned to me and she goes, "Dad, I'm sorry. This sucks." And I'm like, "I tried to tell you that this was gonna suck."
Yeah.
She's like, "No, it really sucks. I gotta do bills and all that
Ugh.
stuff." And I'm like, "I'm sorry."
Yeah, when
Me
you
too.
realize, like, wait, I always had toilet paper or paper, or just like toothpaste in the
That's
house. You're
right.
like,
I could choose something besides ramen.
right. Now I have to do
No,
everything. And I
I
have
have
to
to
go,
do
yeah,
all the things. All the things.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do think our parents kind of prepared us for that, but I don't know if you can ever really prepare people for
The only way you can prepare them, in my opinion, is to make them experience it early. To force them to experience it somehow early. And I didn't learn that part until I was into like the third kid. Um, that was even possible to like start kind of weaning them off of those things. I have a hard rule. 21, I'm cutting you off completely. That's my hard rule. And I started that with my daughter, my first one. But for some of them, I was able to wean them off those things before 21, so that it wasn't such a hard cut at 21.
yeah.
I think that was helpful. Is if you can cause them to experience some of that pain early, then when they bring on the other pains, it won't be as. It still sucks. There's no way you can get away with it, but not as
Yeah.
bad.
And the older you get, you're like, why did like, you don't want to live a long time. You're like, why is this still going on? Why am I having to
Yeah, I don't think it was until like 40 that it stopped. It's like 40 is finally that point where it starts to stop, or maybe it's just that you start to not care because you realize that life is so finite.
yes.
Um, but you just got to get past 18 to 40, and you'll be fine. Everything will be fine. Maybe.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, there's, our government and climate change and all the other crazy
All
things.
the things.
You try to like forget, like, I'm just going to push those over here and just focus on my own life, because otherwise you'll, yeah, crawl up in a hole and not
Exactly.
want to come out. So I also know that you're on a part of a Gen X comedy tour.
Yeah.
Um, have you already started the tour, or because I
Oh
was
my
looking
god.
up?
And again, another dumbest thing I've been a part of in my life. So here's the story, because I
Yeah.
love stories. Obviously, storyteller. We never planned on doing this either.
Okay.
Okay. So me and Sherry, or the real Slim Sherry, our paths started parallel to each other. We both started about the same time. We both had similar trajectories. We both diversified on all the platforms at the same time. And so we've DM'd back and forth, never met in person, and we've talked about stuff, blah, blah, blah. Nick and Kelly, the Professor Nick Harrison and Kelly Mono, they started much earlier, and they both had careers in radio before that.
Okay.
Nick was on ESPN radio, and Kelly was in St. Louis and radio, and they've been part of that society for a while, where me and Sherry were kind of the corporate people. So Sherry and Nick went to the Cheer Choice Awards, which is a social media award show that happens in Vegas every year. They went to that not last year, but the year before, and they met each other there, and they started talking about, maybe we should get together and do things, blah, blah, blah. So last Labor Day, or it was like last June or July, Sherry reaches out to me and she said, hey, would you be interested in going to Nashville to hang out with some other creators and do creator stuff? And I'm in the part of my life where I'm just saying yes to everything. The world will tell me if I'm supposed to say no by either saying you don't have enough money or you don't have time to do it, whatever. I say yes to everything. Hence why I'm on all these podcasts. And when that happened, Kelly was in the background. She communicated with Nick and they started that thing. We expected that we were going to go rent an Airbnb. We were going to go out in town and maybe see some of our fans, blah, blah, blah. Nothing like deliberate or special. And we were going to sit back and do videos, collaborative videos, and watch rom-coms and, eat pizza in our pajamas. Who knows? That's what we expected. Our wives got involved and they were like, no, we're not flying to Nashville for free. We're not taking this trip for free. So we're going to pimp you out. You guys are all going to do stand-up comedy. Now, Nick has done stand-up comedy before. The other three of us had never done stand-up comedy in our life. Never even contemplated the idea of stand-up comedy. I was fine being a creator. I was fine where I was. But that was not the path. So we scheduled a show at the Third Coast Comedy in Nashville. It's a small comedy theater, 88 seats. We put that up for sale and it sold out in an hour. Okay, so we did a second show the same day. Put that up for sale, it sold out in a day. Okay, we did the show. Show went great. It was an awesome show. I had never done stand-up before. I was so nervous. I thought I was going to barf all over myself. But it went and it happened. And here's the kicker. AARP reached out to us and they wanted to sponsor the show. That in itself is hilarious. I've actually made it part of my joke set. I was like, guys, we got a sponsor. It's actually AARP. And they're like, no. I'm like, yeah. They gave us money. They gave us money to do this and be part of it. And so that show went great. So we were like, okay, maybe we can do it again. So we scheduled one in Cleveland. We did Cleveland. We sold that out, 250 seats. Then we're like, maybe we got something here. So we go to Atlanta. We do Atlanta. We sell out 2 shows at 250 seats. We then go to New Orleans. We sell out 2 shows at 350 seats. Then with the big one, we go to Vegas and we played the Palms at 700 seats. We just left St. Louis, the factory, which is Kelly Mono's hometown, sold out 2,200 seats. And in August, we are going to be playing the Caesars in Atlantic City. We're playing the Hard Rock Cafe in Cincinnati. We're going up to Boston and playing there. And we've got, I think, 20 more shows scheduled so far through 2026.
And you're doing a cruise too, right?
And we're doing a cruise in November, a GenX Takeover cruise. Dumbest thing ever. This is so dumb. This is so
Hopefully
dumb.
hurricane season doesn't...
Oh, it's in November. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
We'll be fine. But yeah, we have 750 rooms on this boat of people that are there to see us.
That's awesome.
And hang out with us. It just feels so surreal.
Yeah.
So very surreal.
I'm bummed that I missed the Atlanta one because that's where I live.
We'll come back to Atlanta because we did Atlanta very small scale. So we're probably going to come back to Atlanta and do, because that's Sherry's hometown. We're going to come back and do something a little bit more medium scale there. That's definitely in the books.
Yeah.
We're coming to Charleston in October if you want to drive over here to Charleston.
I have to go. I'm going to New York and Chicago in October for work. Otherwise, I would. I love Charleston. It's one of my favorite.
Yeah, because we have the beer fest the day before, so we're a joint ticket. You can go get beer and then comedy.
It's a good combination.
It is a good combo.
Is it like out in the field where
Yeah, the beer fest is out in the field, but we're actually in a performing arts center. So.
Because I feel like we're at this point where passing out in the field is not cool, or would probably be one beer as opposed to when we were younger.
And the other thing is all of our shows, just in case anybody's watching, we try to start them at 5 p.m. because we know that an 8 p.m. start is not going to. In fact, Atlantic City is starting at 9 o'clock. And it's because the casino wants it to start at 9 o'clock. And we're like, come on. So we're actually turning it into a pajama party.
Oh, nice. That's
We're asking
fun.
all of the audience to come in their pajamas. We're going to wear pajamas. We're making a pajama party out of it because this kind of sucks and this is not our kind of game anymore. So let's make light of it and have fun.
It is funny how, when you're young, you're like, oh, I'll stay up all night and then I'll go to work or whatever, or I'll pregame or I'll nap and then go out. Now I'm like, if I take a nap, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And if I pregame, I'm pregaming with water.
Yes.
There's no way I could drink and then try to go out.
No,
No, because that one beer, which is my limit,
yeah,
can't
because
do it.
now the two, you could have 2 drinks and feel great, or have 1 drink and not be able to get out of bed the next day. So it's not as fun
It's
as,
not as fun.
and I love like a good craft cocktail, but I'm like, oh, I don't know how this is going to affect me tomorrow.
Yeah, it's like you got to be very choosy. Everything has to be planned in life, including getting out of bed. It all has to be planned. Nothing can just be thrown together because there's consequences every decision you make.
Yeah.
Whether it be drinking, whether it be exercising different, you're going to pay for it because we're old.
Yeah.
And it's hard for us to admit, but we are.
Yes, I had to go to the podiatrist last week because my foot was killing me. And now I have arthritis cream. And I didn't know. I didn't know it was arthritis cream. Like she didn't tell me. She's like, oh, put this on there. It'll help. Whatever. And I picked it up and I'm like, it says arthritis cream on it. I was like, it's official. My foot is old. Like,
oh, that's okay. I'm getting a hip surgery in December. Yeah, that's the first you're really old thing. I'm getting a hip refurbishment, not a replacement, a refurbishment. I didn't know there was a difference, but there is.
I mean, yeah, the sad thing too is like I work out of like trying to, at that age, like trying to preserve muscle and bone and whatever. And then that's fine. But if I sit on the couch for too long or sleep the wrong way, that puts me in pain, not the lifting weights.
That's right. So, time and gravity are not our friends.
I love when like you see people online, like they're maybe like 30, 35 that start talking about, they're feeling old. I'm like, you have no idea what you're in for.
Oh, but listen, I have a whole nother segment of my audience that's much older and they're like, you got nothing yet, buddy. I'm like, dang it. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that it's going to actually get worse. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't actually get better. It's like, dang it. It sucks.
Well, and just like, having AARP as the comedy tour sponsor, like that, it does hurt. You're like, oh, when you start getting in the mail and it's from AARP, you're like, that's for old people.
I embrace it. I love it. I think it's awesome. Because I always have to make a joke at it. I've always been a jokester of every situation in life, even the horrible situations, parents dying or something like that. I joke about that all the time. That's just the way I deal with painful situations. So AARP, send it on. I am the first one to whip out my card at Denny's. I'm like, what? You got an AARP card? I'm like, yeah, I do.
Discounts are good.
I'm going to hit you with the veteran card too in a minute.
You're like, I'm going to double dip.
My plan is to get a check when I turn 65. I'm going to go to Denny's and get a check every time. So
when you were in the military, were you, like doing the comedy stuff, commentary, or this literally just come after?
No, this all came because my son left me. It's all his fault. And you know what? He actually says it all the time. He's like, this is all because of me, right? And I'm like,
he wants the credit.
Maybe, but okay, I'll give it to you. It's a stretch, but I'll give it to you.
But I think that's important to hear, though, that just because you are getting older or your kids are leaving the house, that doesn't mean that your life is over. You can have a second career. You can do whatever you want. It's not,
Yeah.
It's not like
I said, I didn't have that youth that everybody, or a lot of people had, that adult youth. And so I'm kind of having it now, which is cool because I have adult money and I can do adult stupid things. Whereas I see a lot of my friends that are, they've got younger kids at my age and they're like, oh, I can't hang out. I can't do all these things because I got kids. And I'm like, well, that sucks. You chose poorly. It's not my problem.
I'm going to tell my brother and sister that their kids are, my nephew is going to be 14 and my nieces are both, one just turned 12, one's about to turn 12. And But those kids have a better social life than I do. Like, they're always going, doing stuff, and I'm,
Yeah,
like,
of
sitting at
course.
home going, "Yeah, I'd like to go out, but then I have to go out and
Yeah.
drive in Atlanta traffic," which is a nightmare.
Oh
I have
God.
no just it's ruined my love of driving. Because that was the one thing too that I've noticed different in the generations. Like, when we were growing up, the minute you could get your license and get in
You were
a car.
gone.
Yep.
You were gone. You had friends with cars, you had a car, you were scraping money from working at the fast food restaurant to get the crappiest car
Yeah.
just to go, just to
And
get out.
they don't seem that enthused to.
No, like I had a kid that didn't Nick, he didn't get his license until the day before he went to boot camp.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He had never driven in his life. I'm like, "What? You're 20. How is this a thing?" It's just they're different priorities. And you know what they've got? We have unfortunately we've made their life very comfortable. You know, we gave them all the things that we didn't have, and we gave them the inside of the house that's way better than anything outside of the house, all the food and all the creature comforts and the internet and all those things. That's we did that. So
Yeah.
we created this monster. It's all of our fault. I'm looking at all of you, okay, out there. It's all of your faults. And this is the result of it. They're not inspired to go off and flourish in the world. We were like, get me the hell out of here. How do I
Yes.
get out of here? What's the
Counting the
quickest?
days. Yeah.
That's right. What's the quickest way out of here? And when do I graduate high school?
Oh, yeah, I remember sitting at my high school graduation, the girl next to me was crying, and she's like, "Why aren't you sad?" I'm like, "'Cause I'm getting out of here." And
I'm
it
out.
wasn't that I was, like, getting away from my parents or my brother or sister, because we were very close. I just wanted to get out of my hometown. It's very small. I'm like, "Get me get me away from here. I need college. I need to, like, be able to do what I want and not have this, have to be the good girl anymore." But yeah, and you hear stories too about kids bringing their parents to job interviews or not being able to make doctor's appointments or having their parents call it. I'm like, and I don't blame the kids. I'm like, what was wrong with the parents? Like, your job as a parent is to help your children grow up so they can be productive adults in society. And going to a job interview alone, as much as we all hate those, is kind of one of those things.
It's part of that thing, right?
Yeah,
My goal as a parent has always been to make you an independent member of society. I don't care what you do. You could be a janitor, you could be a doctor, you could be a florist. As long as you are a productive, independent member of society and you can function your way through it, I think I'm successful because I'm not going to be here forever. You're going to
right.
have to live in this world without me. The quicker that I can cause you to be capable of that, the better, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, both my parents, have passed, and it sucks without not having them. But that's it'll be week will be 8 years without my mom. It's been 5 years without my dad, and I miss them every day. But they actually taught me how to be a functioning member of society, and
Yep.
you know,
That's
adulting. I
uh,
blame them for that, but yeah. So it's true. I think I think like Gen X might need a wake up call because it is our fault that these kids can't.
it's the pendulum. Like I said, it swung so hard because the boomers left us alone to figure it out. And now we've swung the opposite way to try to make it so that they don't have to think about anything. And then they're going to swing back the other way. And that's where the Gen Alphas come into play. And they're going to be just like us all over again.
Yes,
Just like us all over again
yeah.
with technology.
Yes, which hopefully they'll learn to use smarter than we do. So, well, speaking of different generations, when you get comments on your videos, because I've noticed I always like to read comments under videos because they're usually very entertaining.
Interesting.
It's funny how you see, like, sometimes boomers are like, well, we had that too, you guys aren't special. I'm like, we're not saying we're special.
We're
Or the
not saying we're
millennials,
special.
or yeah, or there's like arguments start about who had it worse or who had it better, or do you get comments like that as well?
Oh God, yeah, all the time, all the time. Especially from the boomers, they feel left out. I feel like they feel left out. I think what happened was everybody realized how cool Gen X is, and they woke up to that fact. And we're no longer the forgotten generation. We're the generation that no one's going to forget. And there's coolness to be part of that small exclusive club because there's really actually not that many Gen X children because of what our parents were doing. If you think about the boomers and the silent generation, they were doing Woodstock and free love and, anti-war and all this stuff and, independence and
Yeah.
don't have kids and blah, blah, blah. And the kids that they did have, they were like, sit down, shut up, don't be heard. kind of kids, right?
Yeah.
So we are a smaller generation, but we grew up in some very interesting times of transition in this world from, the traditional single uh, income home and the nuclear family all the way through technology and into the, Y2K and all that stuff. That was our time.
Yep.
And everybody's realizing how cool it is. So they want to be a part of that, but they don't want to go through the pain of getting there, right? And so it's always in the comment section. I'm like, hey, I feel more attached to you. Can I submit an honorary application to be a Gen Xer? I'm like, hey, you can do whatever you want. It's just the
Right.
comment section. I don't
Yeah.
care. It doesn't really matter. It's not that we charge dues. If we did, maybe that's a good idea. Is I charge certain dues for all these honorary people. Um, Everybody wants to be part of whatever's cool and fashionable. And right now, Gen X is cool and fashionable, and we will be until we get crusty, and then we won't be anymore.
Yeah. And some
Just
of us are already crusty.
Yeah, some of us are. I mean, the first Gen Xers turned 60 this year.
Yeah.
That's like it's a big thing.
Yeah.
Like we got to prepare the retirement homes for us. That's scary.
Yes. Old mall. People say a little bit old malls
Old
or,
malls, yeah, transitional malls, yeah.
grunge day or whatever. Like we're gonna need. They're gonna have a hard time, I think, like telling Gen X what to do in the old age home because we don't want to be told what to do.
I mean, think about it. They've got margarita themed retirement homes now. Maybe we can do a Gen X themed retirement home.
We should. I'd like to see what Gen Xers do to the villages.
Toilet paper them.
My dad lived there for a brief time after my mom passed, and like having to have the talk with him was really uncomfortable. I'm like, because I mean, he traumatized us when we were kids with the talk, told us more things than I ever wanted to know. And also was telling me things about becoming a woman. I'm like, you're a man, but having to like warn him about. But I would, because I think it's 55 and up, maybe.
Yeah,
which
55 and up.
So there might
that's
be
a good portion of Gen X.
Yeah. But I would just love to see like what happens with the golf carts and like the different.
Oh, I'm kind of actually looking forward to it a little bit. I've got, let's see, 9 more years. Yeah, 9 more years and I'll be eligible. So yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it.
I mean,
I won't.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's something nice about being in a community with everyone, but like 55, I'm going to be 51 in a couple of weeks. Like 55 just doesn't seem old to me like it used to seem.
It's not, because it's not old like it used to. First of all, we're living a lot longer, and second of all, we don't look like the Golden Girls, who were all in their 40s, mid 40s when that show was running.
The same with Cocoon, like when they
same with Cocoon. Like, what's his name was 35. Wilford Brimley was 35 in that movie.
I'm like, I remember seeing that as a kid and being like, I thought they were like in their 60s or 70s.
Yeah. No, we don't look like that.
No.
And so when we hit that spot and you say that we got to go to the retirement home, okay, buckle up. Yeah, whoever's working there.
We're going to make you cry probably.
We're coming. We're bringing friends.
Yes. And sarcasm. And whatever in every way possible you can use. We were trying to explain, my sister and I were trying to explain that to my niece a few weeks ago, what the word whatever means. And she was like, what? We're like,
everything.
Everything.
It means
it's
everything.
a very good word.
It's a very diverse, multi-purpose, utility word.
Yes. Yeah. Have you seen, what do you think when people start like criticizing, like our John Hughes movies? Or I saw someone the other day say, let's remake 3 Men and a Baby. And I was like, no, you do not need to remake these movies and stop putting a modern lens on movies that we know the things are inappropriate.
First of all, I think it's a compliment that you have no other creative ideas other than to remake all of our movies.
That's a good way to
that just tells you how good we were. And it's the same thing with music. Like they're splicing all of the 80s songs into new songs now or remaking them. And thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
But no, you don't have to keep remaking everything. Some things just need to be left untouched. Like if they do another never-ending story, I'm gonna barf.
I'm gonna riot
because they will cut out the Swamp of Sadness. I'm sure that they will cut out the Swamp of Sadness because we don't need to traumatize another generation with that. I still can't watch it.
Yeah. Well, and just like, they'd probably make the kid, Bastion, like his parents would be alive. Like his mom wouldn't be dead. She'd be,
no truth. No truth.
Yeah.
No reality.
No. Unlike like Hallmark movies where
Hallmark movie. Look,
always apparent that someone's always dead or divorced or whatever. I'm like, Hallmark, like for all their happiness, like loves to kill people in
They
their
do. They
they're very
absolutely do.
predictable movies. But yeah, I just like 3 Men and a Baby. I mean, first of all, you don't need to redo it, come up with something else. But also the chemistry between those three actors is incredible. And how do you they couldn't look anything up of how to take care of a baby. Now you could
Yeah,
go,
you can just Google everything.
yeah,
It's like you just chat GTP the whole thing.
how to take care of a baby
How
without
to take
killing
care of a
them.
baby for week 1. And it'll give you a whole dossier.
Yeah, it wouldn't be as funny.
It's not
I
as funny.
mean, yeah,
I
it's
think
just, and I do like that the kids like our music, although I do find it annoying when they wear like concert t-shirts, or I was in line for voting and the person behind me was wearing a Prince shirt, and the person in the voting was like, "Oh, asked them a question." They're like, "What?" She's like, "You're
what?
wearing a
It's like
Prince
your
shirt."
shirt, Prince.
I wanted to
Who?
yeah. I wanted to be
Who?
like, "You need to take that off right now. You are offending me as a humongous Prince fan." I
I
still
got
have,
this at
like,
Hot
the
Topic.
Purple Rain record.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, because my niece wanted to get, a concert T-shirt, but she made sure to look up the band and know the music, and I'm like, "Good," because otherwise Amplight's coming over and we're
Yeah, exactly.
we're gonna rip that shirt. Yeah, it's so, what kind of like what inspires you? I know you said like there's lots of content online, but do you have a favorite, type of content from like say millennials or Gen Z that you're like, "Oh, I have to talk about this?"
Um, Not so much. What I'm trying to do now is transition out of that reaction world,
Mhm.
and I've started writing my own scripts.
Oh,
So I'm
cool.
doing this daily DadBod series, which is with my fancy new mugs that I make.
Nice.
Um, and it's a bunch of sarcasm and stories of how of things that are relevant today. Like this morning was the noises that we make when we stand up, and like the sarcastic origins of why we are doing that, because we rode our body so hard, and now it's sending an invoice for all of that, and it's via these grunts and groans. So that's become my new favorite. The one thing I will say is, in social media you can only do something for so long
Yeah.
before you're going to get stale and get forgotten. So I do have to reinvent every year, 6 months, just depending on the topic. Otherwise it'll just get lost in the mud and it's not going to cause growth. So I try to stay centric on whatever I'm doing right now,
Mhm.
but then try to see what can I do next to bring in a new audience and bring in a new flair of that. I'm working on some longer form Gen X related content because I'm trying to grow YouTube, which is the most stingy channel possible to grow. So that's kind of our next adventure, is to go down that path with some long form Gen X storytelling over there, but always keeping that sarcasm in focus, because otherwise this would just be boring and nobody would want
Right.
to watch it. We got to be
Yeah.
sarcastic. We got to stay true to our roots.
Yeah, yeah, and speaking of YouTube, I wasn't doing video before, I would just do, like, audio now, which I should have done anyways, because then even for clips, but now I do the video, I put it up on YouTube, and I'm like, just trying to grow on social media anyways, but, like, YouTube is so
It's
it's
so
just
stingy.
it's so hard, and then trying to make, the title I'm like, "Can't you just put my content out?" And then trying to figure out
I
the right
know, I know. I
word.
wanna press the easy button. I love the easy button of social media, that I could just do a video on the porch and be done with it, poof, post it, be done. I could crank out like 9 or 10 videos a day. YouTube, you can't do that. You gotta
No.
spend 9 or 10 days on one video.
Yeah, and I haven't put in that effort yet, because I also feel like Gen X, yes, we've had to evolve from like, you know, the yellow pages to our phones, but there's so much tech to do as a podcaster, or if you're on
Yes.
social media, or I work in advertising and I own my own business. So it's like I feel like at a certain point as a Gen Xer, or maybe just as a human being, I'm like, I don't have any more room in
Mhm, yeah.
the tech part of my brain, nor do I want to have more room.
No, and also that part of your brain is dying, and that's okay. It's just because time, is not your friend. Um, yeah, there's so much. Like, if you were gonna do all the things like these kids do, and maybe that's why they're, especially the younger kids, they usually are one platform centric.
Yeah,
Like, if you're a YouTuber, you're a YouTuber. If you're a Twitcher, you're a Twitcher. If you're an Instagram or TikToker, that's kind of the same thing, but you're usually, that's all you do. We want to conquer everything, because that's just the way we think. We're like, well, if I can do it over here, I can do it over there. But the fact of the matter is those platforms don't want you to do it that way, because they serve different purposes. And so
right.
YouTube, being the pinnacle of all of them, is the hardest one to break through on, but requires the most time investment, but has the most results potential as well if you do it right. And
Yes.
so how do you crack that and
Right. Well, because
keep your
you
base
do,
going?
yeah, you do see people who, because I follow a lot of the beauty community because I work in beauty, but just seeing like how that's evolved and how, just different creators on YouTube, like they have to get on other social media or they have to like change what they're doing. And it's not easy. And
It's not.
like I
It
remember
is
when
not for the faint of heart. It really
it's
isn't.
not, and even when like TikTok, is it going away? Is it not going away? When you were seeing people like freak out, I'm like, first, because I'm an advertiser, I'm like, well, you're never supposed to be on one platform. You're supposed to
Yeah, you're always supposed to diversify
diversify.
everything.
But I was like, okay, watching people have a meltdown in real time is kind of, I'm not going to lie. My sarcastic self was like, ha ha.
Yeah, you were married to that one platform. Now she's going away.
You effed around and found out. And
Yeah,
now
you
you
have
know.
trying to find out. I'm like, you're like, I'm TikTok forever. Okay, bye.
Yeah, it's part of being an adult.
Hmm.
Nothing's fair. And yeah, it's definitely hard. So, for in the future, like, do you see yourself being an influencer for as long as you want to do it, as long as the audience wants to do it, or a mix of both?
Hate the word influencer.
Okay, content creator. Is that better?
Creator, yeah. I want to do this for a while because I think there's a lot of different. It's I have never been like a creative person per se. I've always been a military corporate, square peg, square hole kind of guy. And now I'm accessing this part of my brain power that I didn't know I had, which was to be creative. Like especially on writing stand up comedy, that is so cool and so much fun, and it's a whole different industry I've never been exposed to.
Mhm.
So yeah, I want to do this for. I've already done the corporate world for the past 20, 30 years. I want to do this. This is fun. I could
And,
do this until I
that's what
ride off in the sunset.
right, and, like, that's what we should get to do is things that are fun, and now, when you get to a certain age, you're like, "I don't have to do that anymore. I
I
can
don't,
do it."
and we don't. We don't
Yeah,
have to do. I don't have to. I mean, first of all, no company actually cares about you anymore, so there's that. But you can do whatever you want to do in this world, and you can make good money doing it, and as long as you're willing to invest the time and effort into making it so. But I think that's lost on the younger generation per se,
yeah,
and so our generation is taking advantage of their loss. We're going to fill the gaps that they don't fill, and it's going to look like we want it to look, at least for our audience. And so I'm going to run this train, and as long as it goes.
I don't know why I'm thinking of, like, the the math problems. If train A is
Oh,
being
you have
train
train A leaves station going 30 miles an hour. Yeah,
I'm like, "I'll just look it up. I don't care what I'll
just
be like, I'll go
chat
get the."
GPT it. Just ask
Yeah, I
chat
mean, even
GPT.
back then, I was like, "Why do I need to know what time?"
And
I
that's
mean,
the
now
thing is like you say that the tools are difficult, but the tools are also there's also other tools available to compensate for that. Like having AI available.
yeah,
Man, if I had AI available as a kid, phew, man, I couldn't even imagine. But I'm just getting scratching the surface on using that stuff.
yeah,
Holy cow, it makes life easier.
because we only had Cliff Notes, and that wasn't for math, so
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
well, and
You
I
can just
think too with
tell him to
like
do it.
yeah, I mean, and I think too with, you wanting to do this for as long as you wanna do this, is like you can see when you post or, Sherry or Kelly or any Gen Xers post, like we are online and we are a community and we want to not just reminisce, which is definitely fun, but share our commonalities and our differences
Mhm.
and kind of have
And
this
it's global.
yeah,
That's the crazy part is I didn't know it was actually global until I started doing this. I'm like, and there's a lot of people like in Australia and the UK and South Africa and Germany that all follow me, and they all say the same. They're like, "Yeah, I remember that." I'm like, "Well, how do you remember that?" They're like, "It's the same way over here." I'm like, that's crazy.
yeah. There's a show on Netflix, I don't know if you've seen it, it's called Son of a Critch,
Oh no, I
and
haven't.
it's basically the story of, like what is his Mike Critch. I don't know if that's the kid. That no, that is his real name. So the guy who wrote it is plays the dad in it, but he grew up in the '80s in Newfoundland, and there's like all these little references, and it's just like okay, we all did have this commonality. Granted, Canada's not that far, but like it is cool to see people in Australia or Canada or wherever that their parents said the same things our parents said. They had the
Hmm.
same cultural references we did, and it makes the global community feel like smaller in a good way.
In a
Like
good
we're all
way, in a
connected.
very good way, that we all had that same experience and we all had the same stories that we could share about that time. And what's crazy, I think, is that I feel like the world was very, very close in that time period to the rest of the world, right? Every spot in the world was kind of going through the same things.
Oh,
But now it feels like the world is so different. But yet now the world's even more connected than ever. But there's so
yeah.
much difference between how a kid is raised in the US to how a kid is raised in Australia to how a kid is raised somewhere else. I feel like it's the complete opposite, but yet the connection is there where we had no connection. Like if you wanted to, if you we had pen pals in Australia. You know what I mean? That we sent them a letter and it got to them 2 weeks later, and they sent us a letter and it got to us 2 weeks later. And it
Yeah.
was in school. It was part of our school program. Was about have a pen pal. That's how we communicate with somebody in Australia.
Yeah. Because we couldn't be on the phone,
You couldn't call somebody in Australia. Good God, you
No.
couldn't call somebody the next city over without being long distance.
Yeah, we had calling cards. We went places. You had to wait till after
Yeah,
9 o'clock.
yeah,
Yeah, we had to look things up at the library or the Encyclopedia Britannica, and
exactly.
wait
Now
for
I'll
the
be
news
on
to come
Twitch,
on.
and I've got people in Australia and the UK on Twitch with me at the same time, just chatting away. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
this world is so connected,
yeah, it's
but
nice
so
to be
different.
connected.
It is. It feels really good. It feels
Yeah, I
really good to
mean,
have that
but
group.
I think too, there is like a disconnect too because it doesn't feel like even though because there's so many crazy things going on in the world, even though some of them are the same, just a different country,
Yep.
that we sometimes forget that there are human beings on the other side of that phone screen or on the other side of the computer, and maybe listen and be kind to each other
Yep.
just a little bit, and really don't mess with Gen X because
Don't poke that bear. You don't want to.
no, we're
It's not.
nice until you start poking us, and
You can do it once. You can do it once, but
yes,
that's just about it. We're not gonna sit around and tolerate it. And the other thing is like I think this is the reason that nobody pokes Gen X that hard, is because both the generation in front of us and the generation behind us need us. We're taking care of the boomers as they're getting older.
yep,
They need us, and for the most part, the other generations are still relying on us for just about everything. So I think they don't. I think they're smart enough not to slap the hand that feeds them too much.
yeah, because I feel like millennials are like they kind of need us to come in and take care of them, but
Rescue the
also
day.
help them. Yeah,
Yeah.
when Gen Z is like just poking them and poking them and poking them, they're like, "What did we do to you guys?"
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast and for
Thank
chatting
you.
with me. This is so cool. It's nice to like get to talk to someone that you just see online. And even though we're
We're
doing this
real people
online,
too.
yes, exactly. But I do. I like this is one of the reasons I started the podcast. I just love talking to other Gen Xers and hearing about what we have in common, and even learning, the differences we have. Because last month I did, growing up with siblings versus not, and it was so cool just to hear about perspective of growing up without, annoying siblings underneath you that drove you crazy. I
I
love
was a
them.
middle
I love
child,
you,
so
Mandy, Micah, but you're a middle child.
I was a middle child. That explains a
Did
lot. I know.
did did you have the middle child syndrome?
Oh, fully, fully. I was abused.
Yeah.
The worst. It was me. Everything was me. I was abused. I had an older brother and a younger princess sister. Okay.
Mm.
I was abused. At least in my mind, I was.
That sounds like my sister. Yes. So my brother's the youngest. I'm the oldest. I always say I'm the experimental child that needed
Mm-hmm.
therapy and probably still does. She always like, no one pays attention to me. I'm like, you get the most attention because
You're the baby. You get the most
yeah,
attention.
you're
Get the
complaining
most.
about not. Yeah. So
Right.
yeah, I think I'm sure I should do a whole thing on like just interviewing middle children to
Oh
talk
yeah, you
about.
should do birth orders. You should do the whole thing on birth orders.
So I know what it's like to be the oldest, and oh my god, and yeah, and the baby has it easy, but I do feel like the middle child sometimes just gets
We get the short end of the stick.
yeah. Well, thank you again for being on the show. I of course will include all your information in the show notes. So everyone can follow you on YouTube and
Yep, all the
TikTok
places.
and Instagram, and go to the comedy tour. I'll put the website up so people can get on the shows that are still available.
Awesome.
And
There'll be more to drop. So go over there and sign up for the email alerts and you'll get notified
I'm
as soon as that happens.
definitely going to do that because I want to do the Atlanta show, so I
Yeah,
don't miss it this time.
absolutely.
Thank you again.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you again to my guest, John Wellington, also known as DadBod Veteran. Be sure to check him out on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, and to sign up for the Gen X Takeover Comedy Tour newsletter. I know I will because, like I said, I am bummed that I missed them in Atlanta, and it'd just be cool to see creators that I watch online in person. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned for later in the month. We will have another influencer to chat with. Hopefully we'll hear from the ladies this time because I'd like to have both perspectives. If you have any favorite creators you'd like me to talk to, or you're a creator that you want to talk, you can find information on how to reach out to me in the show notes. And be sure to rate, like, comment on either YouTube, Spotify, or Apple, where you can find us. And until next time, my fellow Gen Xers, don't you forget about me, because I won't forget about you. Thank you for taking the time to listen to the Gen X Experience. If today's episode resonated with you, please consider sharing it on social media or with a friend. We'll see you back here next time.